Hey there, how's it going? davidinark here with a comprehensive look at update 0.35 for BeamNG Drive. That's right, we're going through everything that the new update has to offer. I have timestamps in case there are particular things that you're searching for, but let's jump into it. First and foremost, and leading the top, of course, the Hirochi Sunburst Remaster. That's right. In addition to a complete remaster of the vehicle itself, they've added new drivetrain. It's a flat 4, so it's changed from the transverse inline 4 to a longitudinal flat 4. Features 1.6, a 2.0, and a 2.5 liter displacement with options for factory and aftermarket turbocharging. And of course, it's available in front-wheel drive, all-wheel drive, and rear-wheel drive options. There's the wagon body style, widely requested wagon body with plenty of room for activities. Remastered model and textures, increased detail and accuracy with all new textures for the body, the interior, and mechanicals. Plus, of course, there are some new configurations, a wide variety of new configurations, including a generous selection of factory models and heavily modified versions for racing, drifting, rallying, all that good stuff. They've also updated the JBeam, so it's a fully refreshed JBeam and physics model with improved deformation and handling and suspension for the remastered vehicle. New customization parts, vastly expanded aftermarket customization options, including body kits, interiors, liveries, and more. There are new and updated existing liveries. So updated liveries, custom police interceptor, Furwood police, the Gendamiri, and the Hirochi Rally liveries, and then they've added Polizia, Belasco Police, Itachi, Two-Tone, and the Beater, which I've seen other people talk about and showcase, and I don't know, people love their beaters, man. I don't know what the deal is there. As far as overall rally additions to the game itself, they've added new and improved rally parts and configurations for the Charrier FCV, the Hirochi SBR4, the Ibishu Pessima MK1, Ibishu Covet, Ibishu BX series, the ETKI series. And then they've also added some new rally-themed props to the game. That includes crowd barriers, rally signs, soft track barriers, track flag, and new variants of the hay bales prop as well. Now, as for the Autobella Piccolina, just a minor fix. They fixed some instability on the front mount oil cooler and tube bumper. On the Stambeco, they retuned the deformation, and they've also added collision to the cargo area. Under the Bruckle Legrand, they fixed an issue where the trunk would occasionally fail to open when a spoiler is installed, and then fixed emitter positions for the taillight. In fact, you're going to notice that they've done a lot of light fixes across a lot of vehicles as we go through this list. For the Moonhawk, they updated the grille material to make it transparent, also updated the J-beam to better align with standards set by other vehicles, and updated models and materials for the lights. They also updated the detective configuration, and then we move on to the Burnside Special. They updated the big block engine to match the Barstow, Blue Buck, and the 9. They've also updated the 3D model with fixes to the trim, the window glass, and the chopped roof, plus updated models and materials for lights. Again, we're going to see the lights thing appearing a lot, so just come along for the ride. The Charrier FCV reduced rear wheel shake when sliding using the handbrake. Prolonged handbrake slides on rally variants of the Vivas could occasionally induce a rear wheel vibration buildup. Damping has now been added to the control arm to mitigate the effect. They retuned the handling of rally configurations. So the asphalt variant received some minor tweaks, and the gravel variant was retuned with stiffer springs and a lower ride height for a more responsive handling. They increased rally suspension, anti-squat property. They added an Apex Rally livery. fixed the race pedal box clipping with the floor, fixed headlight flare positions, fixed names of the engine long block options, and they tweaked the behavior of the 1.6 race turbocharger. In the Scintilla, they fixed an issue where the doors wouldn't open properly if the windows were rolled down. The 800 series, we get a Poliza livery, finally, a police livery, hallelujah, a Belasco police livery. They've also added the Carabinieri, you know what I'm saying. Anyway, they added that. They added the Italian police. That's what they did. All right, anyway. Under the bar stow, they've fixed the correct max RPM parameter on some tuning engine blocks. They updated models and materials for lights, of course. On the Blue Buck, they updated the interior models, added a double beacon light bar option for the police configurations. On the D series, reduced bump steer for off-road suspension, and they also, of course, updated models and materials for the lights. Under the Grand Marshal, they added a new PBR textures for the interior panels and carpet material, and also updated the JBeam to improve rear wheel stability. The H series sees reduced bump steer for of the off-road suspension as well. Plus, they added an alternate ambulance livery, and then also fixed incorrect rear light bar on the police configuration. For the MD series, they fixed some front bumper issues where it would get stuck in the front tire, fixed an issue that caused the stock exhaust to become unbreakable, also updated models and materials for lights on the pickup bed. They improved interior camera to use the cab's structure for position reference. This allows the camera to follow the cab's rotation when the cab falls off. Updated the suspension to make break-offs possible. Added the ability to make frame black rather than colorable. And added animated steering shaft. The Gavril Roamer, they reduced bump steer of the off-road suspension. In the T series, they moved the clutch pedal prop to manual shifter part in order to remove it from trucks with automatic transmission. They added the ability to make the frame black rather than colorable. Also added animated steering shaft for the conventional cab. Now, for the SBR4, they added the Folk livery. Oh, sorry, I don't know why that came out so loud. Updated the grille material to make it transparent. Updated the J-beam to better align with the standards set by other vehicles. Improved engine pipes to make them more realistic. Fixed numerous 3D model issues. And they added new PBR interior panels and seat textures. A lot of stuff going on inside the vehicles to bring that realism to life. The Bishu BX series, they fixed issues with the rear bumper that could cause the car to get stuck on it after a crash. On the Covet, they retuned the handling of the track configuration. For the Hopper, they updated the interior materials. That's materials for interior panels, seats, and the roll cage. On the Miramar, they fixed an issue with 3D model smoothing. They added rubber window trim, improved engine textures, reworked the J-beam structure to better reflect the visual design of the car's chassis. They updated rubber bumper guards to make them removable, added a Safari Rally configuration. That is very cool looking right there. For the Pigeon, they retuned the roof strength. Now, this was done with the help of the new Roof Crusher tester prop, and more cars will follow with similar changes in future updates. The Lansdale fixed some inconsistent mirror prices. The Dune Kicker added the Blaster livery. The Wentworth DT40L, they updated display materials to PBR. This also fixes the wrong display color. Now, some things that are common across the entire game and across various vehicles, etc. They improved vehicle police parts. The halogen light bar has been updated with smooth fading lights, which go along with the reworked flash patterns. It also now has a selectable color slot instead of duplicates with different colors. The LED flashers and beacon lights on some vehicles now also have selectable colors. All halogen spotlights and flashers have been updated with the smooth fading pattern that was previously only present on the Bruckle 9 police car. Some visual improvements of vehicle suspensions. Previously, the majority of the vehicles used to suffer from weird suspension behavior, consisting of parts stretching and clipping with each other upon steering and articulation. This was caused by the suspension JBeam structures having received many changes and improvements through the years, while the visual geometry remained the same. So now the two had become desynchronized. That's fixed up now. All right, so they fixed this issue on the majority of vehicles in the update by updating the suspension 3D models to match the JBeam structure. Now, this change also affects some of the common wheels. It does not affect vehicle handling, but it might cause small visual issues, especially with mods. They added torque joint nodes to cars with front-wheel drive transaxles. So torque joint nodes increase the fidelity of torque reactions by simulating the effect of half-shaft joint angles. This feature has existed already on the Ibishu Pessima for some time, but now has been rolled out to other front-wheel drive cars, such as the Vivace, the Covet, Legrand, Wendover, Lensdale, and the Sunburst. Now, the addition causes some subtle changes to torque steer, and that might be felt with your force feedback wheel, so be aware of that. Cleaned up the mixed use of tarmac and asphalt terms. Vehicle configuration and part names will now use asphalt exclusively rather than mixing up the two terms. They added backside to license plates with European format 5211. So license plates used to have a mirror version of the front. Now it looks more appropriate as the backside is gray. This was implemented in US format 3015 in version 34. 0.34, I guess I should say. All right, they fixed errors with police light bar interior triggers, fixed several typos in configuration descriptions, fixed several JBeam issues with common ambulance upfit. They fixed literally unplayable value field in several JBeam files. Also, some unified part naming. So body colored with a space and body colored without a space is now body dash colored, and colorable with a U in the word color is now colorable without the U. So they went from the English spelling to I guess the American spelling. Anyway, updated naming of all horns and sirens with more descriptive names. It's a quality of life improvement. All vehicles now have fully collidable interiors and improved steering column deformation behavior. That's going to be cool. They also added a generic customizable tow hitch. This was introduced first on the Hopper and Sunburst, and it will be added to other cars in the future. As far as trailers, the container trailer, they improved frame and suspension rigidity. The tilt deck trailer fixed the trigger positions on the 30-foot gooseneck. The small box utility trailer has improved wall edge collisions, and the tanker trailer, they fixed the incorrect kingpin node spacing. Nodes were spaced too far away from the plate surface, causing difficulty coupling to the trailer and excessive trailer roll. You know what that was like. All right, so they've also made some changes to the simplified traffic cars. They updated the Sunburst to the remastered version, also with the new wagon configs. Reworked and improved roof deformation on all traffic vehicles. They updated the Gavril D series to use the new remastered lights. They fixed deformation of the rear of vehicles with the cargo box upfit. Updated JBeam on the Gavril H series roof rack for better deformation. Fixed the ETK 800 series XC drivetrain to match its proper counterpart. They made the strength of the Gavril Roamer's body better to match its proper counterpart. Improved deformation on the rear of the Charrier Vivace to reduce spiking, and fixed an issue with some traffic vehicles using incorrect horns. That pretty much covers the kind of overall vehicle updates. Now we move into levels. For the West Coast USA, they implemented numerous updates to the roads. These roads and surrounding areas have been improved, rebuilt, or added. So some of the improved areas, a new drift track has been added. They updated the drag strip area. They updated the dirt track area and improved overall drivability around the racetracks. Again, this is on West Coast USA. They've also improved collisions. Major updates on collisions in the city area, improved collisions on different other structures, and they updated shrubs, pines, and oak foliage libraries. For the Hirochi Raceway, they added a new drag strip area. Oh, heck yeah, man. In Italy, they improved foliage libraries. They added new optimized foliage materials, improved collision meshes, improved LODs, and improved imposter settings. Common level updates, new rally-themed static props. They have new tents, modular fences, there's sensors, and furniture around. Again, that's common throughout any of the maps with the rally stuff going on. As far as gameplay goes, overall gameplay, rally mode. Now remember, rally mode is currently a work in progress. It's not feature complete. So they definitely want your feedback. You can help them shape the future of rally mode, report issues, leaving your feedback in the official rally mode thread on the forums. But let's talk about rally mode. They've added audio pace notes. I know this was a big demand, and frankly, when High Def created the pace notes mod back in the day to start with, he had recorded voiceovers for audio pace notes, and I know I'm kind of bummed. I really wish they would have let him do the voiceover. I mean, the voiceover is fine. It is what it is, but you know, I don't know. He was the OG developer of the entire thing, you know, but hey, it is what it is. That's just Dave's 2 cents. All right. So anyway, they have audio pace notes now, added the co-driver voice with the initial choice of 2 different voices, both available in English. They improved the on-screen visual pace notes, added 5 new rally stages, the SS Cliffside. It's a long, twisty asphalt route around the mountains of Italy. The Orchard Hill, a short asphalt hill climb stage in the hills of Italy. Facility Road, a complex road through the majority of the automation test facility with a few short gravel roads. The Back Roads, reimagined classic time trial from the origin of the East Coast USA, mixed surface, and a real test of skill. And then there's Rockwood, a technical and twisty route across Small Island, USA. Definitely want to check those out if you are into the rally scene. Other rally additions: added customizable options under Options, Gameplay, Rally Mode, where you can choose the voice selection. You can have the co-driver timing changed with keyboard or with key bindings available. You can have 3 or 5 second countdown options, and then you can enable or disable visual and audio pace notes. There's also the improved the stage selector. They fixed the broken ordering by difficulty, and the stage selector menu now sorts stages by difficulty by default. Other gameplay options: the drag race system added randomness to the AI reaction time. Bracket racing lights are now delayed based on the selected dial time. Staging detection now uses all wheels of the vehicle. Added new winning lights at the end of the drag race. Updated the lane naming system. Now it's numerical instead of left-right based. This allows creating drag races of more than 2 lanes. And they've also added new drag tree lights app. General fixes to the drag race system. AI will now use 100% throttle. This was preventing AI from activating the NOS. They fixed disqualification lights not showing when jumping the start. They added 12 new drag missions to career mode, added new drag race on Hirochi Raceway. There's a freeform mode and 3 new missions on the Hirochi Raceway: Sportsman Tree Drag Race, Pro Tree Drag Race, and Heads Up Drag Race. And then they've also added 7 free roam drift zones overall in the game. This is a overall improvement. 4 new zones in Italy, 2 new zones in Utah, and added 1 new zone in the automation test track. For the drift system, they added 2 new drift UI apps. One will show the total score, and one shows information about the current drift. They've added new drift sounds. They directly reflect the scoring system, and they've updated the scoring system. So now there's a tier system. The more points accumulated, the higher the tier. The combo has changed, so there's now a soft cap at 10x and a hard cap at 25x. There are a few more drift events to achieve precision drifting and reverse drift. And they also tweaked the back-end multipliers, such as how much drifting close to a wall accounts for the score earned. Same for drift angle and drift speed. They implemented new drift stats in the drift challenges end screen, and they improved the crash detection logic. So now it accounts for G-forces on top of vehicle damages. They reworked the orbit camera dynamic pitching, so they added a new dynamic camera pitch for orbit camera based on your speed. If you prefer the old behavior, go to Options, Camera, Orbit, and set the camera pitch speed to 0. They've added 2 new missions to the game. The Strut Brace Loop is a fast asphalt loop through East Coast USA that will put your suspension to the test. There's also the Garage Gauntlet. This time trial sets you on a complicated route around Shuffleboard Logistics compound. The route tracks back over itself, so there are no arrow signs. You'll have to learn the route before being able to push for a fast time, and to look out for checkpoints behind you if you can't see the next checkpoint. Oh, man. And then overall gameplay, they fixed the bus display sign for bus mode. Then we get to the user interface, and this is huge. They added a new Radial menu, and it replaces the old one. It's a completely new, updated interface. It is basically aimed at folks who use controllers, in my opinion. So just be aware that things have changed. New visual appearance and full gamepad support. It also now opens by default with the E key instead of escape, and that's going to be a big change for a lot of folks. Of course, you can remap that if you want to in your settings, but it opens with the E key by default or the Xbox D-pad up. Actions are split between vehicle-related actions and game mode-related actions. They are further grouped into categories, which can be navigated using shoulder triggers on the gamepad, and it remembers recently used actions for quicker access. Improved vehicle configuration menu replaces the old one. The part selector tabs updates. There's a new search that was remade from scratch. There's a state saving for the game session. Now, previously expanded slots will expand automatically when you open the parts selector or switch between cars. And then they've got some further performance improvements overall in the parts selector. They updated the tuning tab usability, added a debug tab, shared visual styling across all tabs, and there are other various small improvements. In terms of UI navigation, they've improved the UI navigation system. UI Nav is a system to control how the UI reacts to bindings, such as gamepad or wheel buttons. And this system now tracks what bindings are in use in the current screen to display them on the bottom bar with an appropriate contextual label. And then various improvements to the existing system, such as better scope tracking in some cases. Now, they've also added shortcuts to the level selector. Freeroam level selector now features a shortcut to your most common maps. Up to 4 entries are now included at the top, most recently used item followed by 3 of the most commonly used maps. And this is shown in for free roam levels, as well as the spawn point selector afterwards. There's an update to the replay app. They converted the app to View as part of the ongoing UI components improvements. They updated the app styles to improve responsiveness at various dimensions and prevent clipping issues, and added a scroll bar for those cases when the app size is too small. They've improved challenge start and end screens. Start and end screens got another visual upgrade, now using a page system that shows relevant information one after another, and it can be skipped. They improved animations and sounds, and they show mission type relevant information. For example, time slip for drag missions. Some other fixes and optimizations. They improved BeamNG input, improved BeamNG slider. Now it features proper scoping for the gamepad and has a built-in input field and revert button. They improved the BeamNG drop-down option. Remade tabs from scratch to be more performant and usable. Added a new BeamNG button style. Fixed multiple translation service bugs and optimized its performance. Fixed issues with popovers when a pop-up is shown. Fixed the BeamNG list issues with scroll to index and initial state. They fixed a crash in the BeamNG multi-line input. Fixed the BeamNG scoped nav to update function names, and they removed unused functions in there. Fixed the BeamNG tooltip positioning, fixed BeamNG select usage in some cases. They implemented deprecated DOM subtree modified event emulation for AngularJS compatibility. They fixed, there were some other fixes and improvements. They fixed the mod repository menu, claiming that the repository issues exist when they didn't. It happens. For the credits menu, added external contributors section, improved visuals and text alignment, and updated the list with new names and titles. As far as official translations, they updated all of the translations. They fixed an issue with an incorrect labeling official translations, so locale identifiers are now mapped to the correct language display names. All right, so moving along to early preview career mode, career progression overhaul. Overhauled the progress screen in the career pause menu, introduced a new career path structure that replaces the old branches system with a more intuitive career path format. This is accessible through the new progress screen, which is now called Career Paths, and to view your advancement across all career mode gameplay. There are 4 core career paths introduced. Apex Performance Metrics, the Premier Test Driving Career Path, Structured Professional Vehicle Evaluations. There's the Belasco Motorsports Racing Association, all things racing, time trials, AI races, drag races, and the new Drift series. Logistics, formerly delivery gameplay, now is a dedicated path for commercial driving and cargo hauling. And then you have freestyle, and that is the sandbox of skills. It includes stunts, barrel knocker, police chases, evasions, and more. Lots of cool stuff happening in career mode. As far as progression and UI improvements, they've updated scoring and rewards screens for better clarity and feedback. Progress is easier to track even if gameplay content is still in early development stages. Career gameplay systems are still under active development. Balancing, progression speed, and challenge content are subject to frequent updates. Things are going to break. Things are going to change. It happens. It's under development. Remember, it's early access, man. They added a new part customization menu. So the new menu merges part shopping and part inventory. The old part shopping menu in the computer is now called part customization. And you use it for buying new parts, but it also now adds parts from your inventory, and you can remove parts from your vehicle by selecting empty. They added a new system for evaluating and classifying vehicle performance, introducing the new performance index as the PI system that automatically rates your vehicle based on acceleration, speed, power, and basic handling factors. Enables class-based AI opponents and race entry requirements, greatly improves race balancing compared to the previous fixed car versus fixed opponents system. The The test will be enhanced in the future to include a handling test, current career mode exclusive. It's not available in freeroam, and you can enjoy upgrading your vehicle to achieve certain PI. Fail Race is going to love that. I'm sure that he does a lot of they base Fail Race and his friends base a whole lot of races, a whole lot of stuff on PI of vehicles. So this is huge for anybody who wants to use PI as the foundation for vehicle choice and configuration in racing. Input and force feedback. They tweaked force feedback strength and smoothing for many steering wheels. This affects mostly Logitech and Moza configuration presets, making them more consistent with each other across the board. If you already have a customized force feedback to your liking in the past, these changes don't affect you and you don't need to do anything. However, if you want to discard your changes and give these new settings a try, you can reset your controls back to the defaults at any time and then redo any possible customizations you had, such as max lock angles and other stuff. They added input mapping for the Mad Catz M2X Pro. The force feedback strength slider range has been halved from 1,000 to 500. All official vehicles are consistently tuned to avoid clipping under normal driving conditions with values of around 300 to 500. Using higher strength values means that you'll suffer clipping, losing detail, and being more prone to suffer unwanted oscillations and vibrations. Now, if any mod vehicle that you use has too low force feedback with the new values, just use the vehicle-specific force feedback coefficients to compensate and bring it back to reasonable levels. You can either use the vehicle-specific modifier in the tuning menu, or you can contact the mod author for a global fix that'll benefit all users. There's an extremely minor improvement to input latency. It will be unnoticed in most cases, but every little bit helps. Right? So they fixed directional pad buttons not registering their first button press after the gamepad wheel joystick was connected. This bug affected all devices except for Xbox compatible controllers. Better handling of excessive input events coming from a connected controller. It should not affect normal operation, only loading screens and that type of thing. There's a fix for input devices with a trailing number. So vehicle systems, and we are still rolling through this, still lots of fixes. So for vehicle systems, implemented a new anti-lag system. There's a bypass to the anti-lag inspired by rally vehicles. A novel approach for sounds, anti-lag pops and bangs are part of the F-mod event for better integration, and automatic arm disarm based on user input. They added a completely new CVT logic, now based on a throttle to target RPM mapping. RPG mapping, yeah, you can blow stuff up. Torque converter is locking now. Torque converter locking is now automatic based on user inputs. They implemented the CVT S mode with fixed gear ratio emulation, and it usually outperforms other multi-gear transmission types at the cost of driving joy. I don't know who Joy is, but the cost of driving her has just gone down. Driving Dynamics added support for actively locking center differential with Driving Dynamics setup. Fixed some Driving Dynamics data points not resetting correctly after vehicle instability. They increased the allowed roll pitch values in Driving Dynamics before trust fall off starts, and fixed incorrect roll pitch values in Driving Dynamics math. Some custom electrics implemented custom electrics default values and resetability, enabled the use of custom electrics across multiple parts, implemented support for custom electric values that do not update on their own but have a default value and that they reset. For the powertrain, improved support for roughly idling vehicles, added viscous exponent to viscous differential simulation. This allows nonlinear increase in torque in relation to rotational speed difference. They implemented rally-inspired active center differential controls, added an API to retrieve powered wheels from powertrain, improved manual and sequential transmission clutch behavior in neutral gear. With a controller, added the ability to use custom input electric for the light bar controller, fixed post-crash brake not resetting correctly when continuing to drive after an event, implemented functionality to disable cruise control after a post-crash brake event, fixed dual axis lever shifter animation not working correctly with no transmission installed. That'll do it. All right, some other updates here. Fixed handling of explicitly defined colors when applying aged colors. Fixed gradient lights color override not working from the JBeam. They made radial menu entries content support dependent. Implemented support for torsion bars to break brake groups. Recalibrated caster measurement to be relative to the ground plane rather than the chassis plane. All right, moving on to the launcher. They revamped the manage user folder menus. So this hopefully will make them more intuitive to navigate, even if the functionality is the same. They added an option to free up storage space from old backups. This is under Manage User folder and then Manage Old Versions and Backups. Here you can easily locate, check the size, and delete folders from old versions that you no longer need. It also shows some basic categories of their files, caches, replays, mods, etc., and how much space they are using up. And the menu is a work in progress, and it will continue to be improved in future updates, but should definitely help you manage your storage space on your drive. They updated the clear cache menu, updated file locations. Performing a cache clean will now leave the old files in a different place. They'll now be placed at user folder 0.35 underscore backup underscore date time / instead of user folder 0.35 / backups / version / date time. Clear as mud? You got it. All right. Cache cleaning will no longer leave empty folders behind. It will remove empty folders instead. They added or replaced icons on several menus to improve their looks as much as technically possible, given the constraints that they suffer. Added the detection of unsupported Windows versions. They do not prevent you from attempting to run in an old unsupported version of Windows, but if you try to run in an unsupported version of Windows, then the application crashes. Some basic heuristics will try to determine if the crash happened due to the Windows version, and then it'll display a dedicated informational dialog. The goal is merely to inform unsuspecting users that might not yet be aware that supporting old versions of Windows has been discontinued. Also fixed several submenus triggering a sound that feels like an error. They improved logging. Log files are no longer deleted by cache cleanups. Cache cleaning, either deep or normal clean, will leave the log files untouched since they don't affect the stability of the application. Keeping the log files means that they can be included as part of support reports. This way, the support team has more information at their disposal if you reach out for help. They implemented more frequent writing of the log file and improved logs to help solve issues if the launcher itself were to crash, and also fixed the launcher log file being left behind when you move the user folder location due to being actively in use when you're in the launcher to move the file. They implemented slightly better detection of failures to the launch simulator. Failures to launch the simulator. I don't know if that was ever an issue, but I had multiple issues where I would tell it to launch the game and I would get the black screen and it wouldn't go anywhere, or I would get the initial BeamNG screen, but then it wouldn't go anywhere. So hopefully that's been fixed. They fixed several cases where the launcher would show an interactive dialogue, even if the non-interactive command line argument is provided. This helps with automated testing and other use cases. Various launcher operations were ignoring files if their name started with a dot. This has been fixed, so now they'll be treated the same as any other file. They removed support for the -clear setting and -clear command line arguments. They were dangerous features and not too useful in practice. They fixed crashes that happened in some cases if the launcher was unable to write its log file. User folder migrations, which happen after a major update, will no longer create a shortcut in the old folder as part of the cleanup efforts. And under fixed launcher crashing, the launcher might refuse to start if it could not open its log file, and that would result in BeamNG : links not working on the first try. Whew. All right, moving along to audio. This is a short section, actually. So they have new UI sounds, new engine starter shutoff sounds, improved ambient sounds, improved the RAM footprint for audio, fixed traffic surface sounds cutting in and out, added new powertrain audio for modified/race flat 4 engines. They added new powertrain audio for the modified i4BX, added anti-lag audio for the Rally Vivas and Sunburst, and fixed the vehicle cockpit filtering not always working as expected, missing completely in some cases. For the game engine itself, lots of stuff going on in here. Implemented customization for frame rate limiter. The 30 FPS frame rate limiter applied while the main window is out of focus can now be customized. In addition to enabling and disabling it, you can now pick custom frame rates. Fixed a crash when opening some corrupted or empty replays. Fixed a rare corner case scenario where crash reports were not correctly generated or nor uploaded. They added informational logs when the crash detection and reporting system is unable to initialize correctly. Updated the Lua JIT, the ASIMP, and CEF libraries. Fixed a category of language-specific crashes. When using an incorrectly crafted translation of the user interface messages, the application might crash to the desktop. Translation system is now robust and is aware of these mistakes, and that's been squared away. For example, if a label referenced 3 numbers in the English language, but some translation is referencing 4 numbers due to a human mistake, then in some rare cases, the application could crash for users of that particular language. They added a -NOS-FX command line option to force a dummy audio output, that is no sound. Oh, it's not NOS-FX. It is no SFX. Listen, I'm thinking NOS here, man. Okay. Improved profiler cleanup. They deprecated the core/performance, replaced by a proper profiling macro. They fixed the wrong push pops. Added the name to profiler pop event function calls. Added -profile vehicle loading to generate simple profiling report for vehicle spawning. See the vehicle_spawn.html. They also added -startup profiling, and you want to see that under level_loading HTML. Improved performance in shipping builds to not jump to C all the time. Added the LUS TAC, the Lua template library, to easily work with HTML templates. There's a new command line argument -no UI, which skips the loading screen and also skips creating any HTML UI. It fixed a crash in the WebSocket when only using WebSocket, added guard against invalid protocol access through BeamNG WebWS server .get or create. Fixed memory leak when switching vehicles. Improved cache for collada files .dae, more resilient against errors, better caching, and it prevents duplicate entries. They've also significantly improved vehicle loading time. Now, this system now uses the new and optimized format for the .cdae files. There is documentation on that, and it goes into all kinds of details. This file format caches some of the data that was previously calculated upon loading, resulting in reduced loading times. It also utilizes compression for large files, which further improves the loading speed. It's optimized vehicle loading by properly caching the meshes. This decreases lag during parts changing. They optimized importing of raw collada files. It should be faster now, and large files should finish quicker. Implemented better catching of errors during vehicle loading, and improved and optimized resource management of meshes throughout the entire game engine. There are improved log messages, no more strange names in the logs, shorter and more precise, and they fixed some log spam. Improved mesh loading. They replaced the mesh.cs file with the new mesh.dae.asset.json file to describe the mesh's metadata. Mesh.cs files are still supported for backward compatibility, but shouldn't be used anymore. And just a future warning, if you are using that, you will definitely want to move over to the new file name and file structure because eventually it will be deprecated, I can promise you. Under rendering, there are some Vulkan stability improvements. Under vehicle AI and traffic, improved lane change behavior, enhanced calculation of exit point distance for lane change maneuvers during highway exits. They improved other vehicle awareness performances, reduced false positive for other vehicle awareness. The awareness of other vehicles has been refined, prioritizing those that pose a higher risk from a traffic and safety perspective. Added vertical curvature consideration for velocity profile calculation. So the road's vertical curvature has been considered when planning the speed profile. This should help minimize aggressive driving behavior that could cause the wheels to lose contact with the road. Improved the performances of velocity profile calculation, improved brake and throttle control logic, improved road geometry awareness, improved side-to-side collision avoidance for competitive driving, improved trajectory planning for competitive driving, implemented lane change aborting. Lane change maneuvers have been improved by enabling their cancellation during highway exits and at non-T intersections if side vehicles are detected that could obstruct the intended path. Tweaked traffic vehicle respawning logic. The system now uses player vehicle position and rotation more often than the camera position and rotation. They also tweaked police pursuit values. The pursuit offense reckless driving should be easier to trigger. Great. Made slight changes for police visibility value. Fixed issues with police sirens at the start of pursuits. They changed the default parking spot probability for parked cars. This means that parked cars get more scattered by default, opening up spaces in smaller parking lots. And they added a custom police vehicle group for the Italy map. Some physics changes. They fixed the physics core's rotation API orthonormalization to be the same as the game engine's one. I don't even know what that means, but anyway, they did it. Changed collision recording to only record last collision IDs for the main vehicle node clusters. Fixed node grabber applying excessive forces when in extreme slow motion. Reduced deformation trigger, the Lua overhead call. Reduced deformation trigger Lua call overhead. They added guards in object get airflow speed and object get ground speed APIs to avoid numerical NAN proliferation. Fixed inter-vehicle couplers blowing up when passing through soft materials such as shrubs, mud, etc. They improved vehicle spawning, the ability to spawn the vehicle without physics. Then we move on to the world editor. Under the Flowgraph editor, they move the clear button from the menu bar to the state properties window. This can prevent accidentally clearing the active graph in the editor. Some improved examples. They fixed typos and logic issues in the existing examples and added a new example scenario, simple race. Fixed issues from the set variable and get variable nodes. In some cases, these nodes would get stuck with errors while using the editor. They also cleaned up names, descriptions, and data for various nodes. removed the requirement to have the vehicle spawned to play a path cam, fixed trajectory ID clash in the script AI editor. This issue was occasionally causing script AI trajectories to get overwritten by newly recorded ones. Fixed a rare bug where the initial vehicle rotation was wrong in the script AI editor. This would occasionally cause the vehicle to start out backwards or under the terrain. A little bit of a problem. Traffic Manager reordered vehicles options as standard, simple, then parked. Updated the wording on the non-drivable props to the object is currently undrivable. Fixed an issue with loading script AI JSON file on Vehicle Manager, script AI mode, parameters. Under the race editor, added simple drag mode for easy moving of path nodes with a terrain snap, and added tools for recalculating segments, cleanly renaming path nodes and segments, and calculating distance. Under the Rally editor, improved pace note editing and stability. It also supports the following types of audio mode: voice pack, audio files of possible pace notes shared across missions. Mission specific, these are audio files that must be provided by the user. Structured, pace note text generated automatically. There's freeform, write any text that you want for the pace notes, or custom, associate any audio file with pace notes. This allows per pace note overwriting of audio mode. They added an AI route-based driveline mode, improved co-driver management, and added slow corner designation that causes pace notes playback to delay until the slow corner is passed. They fixed the all button of the asset browser searching in the current levels folder rather than searching all folders. Under modding, there is a huge update, and it is the Building Architect tool, a new procedural tool to generate and modify buildings working directly in the world editor. Now, this is kind of in an initial testing and feedback phase. So this says, be aware of the following limitations. Save the work. Buildings creating using the tool are not saved using the world editor save action. Users need to use the save button in the tool window to retain the work and the load button to call it back into the project. Alternately, the user can use the export button to save the mesh as collada. That's cool. External optimization is required. For models that want to use the buildings created with the Building Architect tool, exported buildings, they need to be optimized outside of the game using 3D modeling software like Blender. They definitely want your feedback, so jump out to the forums for feedback on that. A biome tool has been updated with some new features. Introducing the live lasso update gives the user the chance to move the lasso area points and see the placed forest object updated live. Place field. User can create a very specific forest object arrangement mimicking a field with proper setup values. And place edges, a mask lasso area driven by procedural method for automatic edge placement. Added the new Roof Crusher Tester prop for modders. This prop is used to replicate the IIHS vehicle roof strength test in order to achieve realistic roof deformation on vehicles. And there is a tutorial available through the notes, the release notes, so you can check that out. They added a new collision density visualizer. The ground model debug tools now include a way to easily view the geometry density of static collision triangles. This is related to physics collisions and not to the graphics details of visuals. Using excessive triangle detail in the physics engine together with the vehicles that are moving in the general surrounding areas can lead to a massive loss of frame rate. This tool helps modders who want to work on optimizing their maps. You can more easily locate areas where you might be exceeding reasonable amounts of coltress. Then act accordingly. You can switch from visual mesh to dedicated physics mesh, disable collision entirely, etc. JBeam workflow change. Support beam break groups. They've implemented a change to support beams on official vehicles, and they encourage modders to do the same on their mods. Again, this will be ultimately deprecated the old way of doing it. So if they're telling you, hey, we encourage you to do this, y'all better start doing it. The change is not visible to casual players, but is important for correct cluster behavior, which will be vital for future gameplay. Support beams on vehicle body panels now use their own brake groups in order to brake at the same time. This only affects parts that can commonly fall off without immobilizing the vehicle, such as wheels, engines, other driveline parts. Wheels, engines, and other driveline parts are not affected by this. This change requires retuning the long bound parameter of the support beams. This value needs to be big enough for the beams to not break while the part is still attached, but small enough for the beams to be broken as soon as it's fallen off to the ground. To help with the tuning, they've added a new beam debug mode, support only, which will only show support beams, and only if they are not broken. This way, you can precisely see the point at which they break. Okay, modders, that's on you. So that is how that works. They improved vehicle detail viewer visibility. F11 experimental vehicle detail viewer. Made some changes for Linux. They added the BeamNG // URL scheme support. To use that, you'll need to install the desktop entry by running binlinux /BeamNG _install _desktop _file.sh script. Run physics benchmark is now functional on Linux. They added the BeamNG application icon. This should work out of the box on Ubuntu, and for other distributions, you may install the desktop entry first. They added a workaround to deal with app armor limitations and CEF on Ubuntu 23.10 and higher. If BeamNG crashes for you at startup, you may run binlinux /BeamNG _add _app armor _profile.sh to install the profile. They updated SDL2, improved presentation of SDL2 initialization errors. That is, more information is shown. They fixed freestanding IMGUI Windows input. Actually, it's probably Image UI Windows input with the main simulator windows was out of focus. They fixed a crash while running as root. It's strongly recommended you do not run as root. The CEF sandbox has to be disabled in this case. They fixed engine.platform.explore folder in Lua. Fixed a security issue in the Lua JIT. Fixed CEF crash. That's probably not how you say it. It's probably JIT, but I'm saying JIT. Fixed CEF crash on Johnson Valley and possibly other large maps. Now, we're moving into some JBeam updates. Lots of updates. Huge update here. All right. JBeams. They added more JBeam node transformation features. They added the node rotate pound or sharp, allowing you to rotate a node position around a defined point, and even flex meshes and props. Parameters, pound, hashtag, sharp, whatever you want to call it. That is the number 0 to 99 that specifies the order of application, and it is optional. Then you have X, rotation around X in degrees. Y, Z are the same around the Y and Z axis in degrees. PX, PY, PZ are the X coordinate of the pivot point, and those are each optional. If no pivot point is defined, the rotation is done around the origin. Okay. They added the ability to specify the order of node transformations by specifying a numeric suffix. Numbered 0 to 99, the order of the node transformations with the same suffix would be node rotate, say 01, node offset 01, node move 01. Right? No number is specified if no number is specified, it's the same order as 0. Node transformations are intrinsic, meaning that translations and rotations apply around the axes of the previously transformed frame. So, for example, node rotate 1 with X0, Y0, Z45 would rotate the frame around its Z axis by 45 degrees. Then a subsequent node rotate to X15Y0Z0 would rotate the newly oriented frame around its x-axis by 15 degrees, right? So you took an object, rotated it around Z at 45, then you took where it is now and rotated it X by 15. You with me? There'll be a quiz on this later. All right, wheel debug info improvements. Camber and caster measurements are now done relative to the surface the vehicle is on, instead of in the past being relative to the vehicle's ref nodes. JBeam debug visualization fixes. They fixed an error when visualizing vehicles without rails or slide nodes. They prevent the calling nil function of bdebug dot receive viewport size when bdebug imp1 dot Lua module is not loaded. Again, modders, have at it. They fixed most visualizations being one frame behind. A major rework of the ability to spawn, save, and load the same part into different slots. This will allow the devs to clean wheels chaos in the future. The parts are now saved with the path in the tree structure for the .pc files if they detect an overlap. Vehicle construction now happens in 2 steps. This allows them to not spawn physics for a while when the user is doing quick changes on the parts. All right. So if you're doing some quick changes, in the past, you would make a change and then it would try to spawn it. And if you try to do immediate change, it would try to spawn it. This time now, what that fix is basically they wait until you're done messing around before they spawn the physics for it. They also fixed vehicle flying to infinity when a spawning error occurred. Oh, that was one of the fun features of the game. All right, anyway. We are almost done. We're at the last section. Thank you so much for coming along and trudging through with us. So here we go. All right. This is under Lua API. Added the cached get object by ID. They added a cached version of get object by ID similar to get player vehicle. They prefer to use this over the get object by ID. This will reduce the workload that the mod creates for the Lua garbage collector, which means that your mods will generate less stutter in frame rate. They added crash detection Lua API and related Flowgraph nodes. Crash detection.lua enables the user to track multiple vehicles for crash detection. Using this new extension, 5 new Flowgraph nodes have been added. Search for crash when looking for a new node in Flowgraph. They fixed an issue with the relative camera where it could ignore the set offset and set rotation calls. They renamed Vehicle Pooling Manager module to Vehicle Active Pooling. Breaking changes related to JBeam. The JBeam field part origin is now deprecated and will be removed in a future update. Please use part path instead. The part path format is /slot//part. Or excuse me, I should say /part. For example, node.partOrigin is now node.partPath. Core Vehicle Manager, Get Vehicle Data, VData Active Parts has been renamed to Core Vehicle Manager, Get Vehicle Data, VData Active Parts Data. The key part origin format is now part. The value for that is part data structure. All right. Core Vehicle Manager, Get Vehicle Data, VData Active Parts is now a table of key part path, again using that format as listed previously, /part. The value is part origin with the format part. Core Vehicle Manager, Get Vehicle Data, Chosen Parts, and Core Vehicle Manager, Get Vehicle Data, Config Parts has been replaced with Core Manager, Get Vehicle Data, Config Parts Tree. Each node in the tree contains the ID slot, the path, suitable part names, unsuitable part names, Trojan part name, children, and the part path. They added an object get abs node position for the node ID to the vehicle Lua. It returns the absolute position of a node. They added the onset cluster pause rel rot, which in the vehicle main Lua hook, that can be used to take actions whenever a vehicle is moved or rotated. They added the Lua functions median 3, 4, and 5, which calculate medians of 3, 4, and 5 in a branchless way. Added Lua functions point BB2D and line BB2D. They return an axis aligning bounding box of a point and a line. They fixed Lua encoding of negative infinity of the function JSON encode. And finally, they added Lua function triangle closest point UV, which returns the barycentric coordinates of the closest point on a triangle of a given point. All right, once again, there'll be a quiz later on this, and if you don't pass, then you'll get whipped with a wet noodle. Anyhow, there you go. That is everything, and I mean everything, in update 0.35 for BeamNG Drive. Of course, we'll be playing around with many of these things. I'm especially excited for the building maker, the architect tool. I want to see that. I want to see that in action. I want to see what we can do with that, how customized we can get, what can we do playing around with that. I have a very good feeling that there are going to be some really cool building mods that come out of that. So, and of course, we'll be playing around with the brand new remastered, my brain just fell out of my head. The remastered Sunburst and rally modes and wagons and bears. Oh my, but there you go. Hey, thank you so much for coming along and trudging through, making it through everything. This is the most comprehensive, as far as I'm aware, video on the update for BeamNG Drive 0.35. Please note that any mods that you've had before this update are probably going to break. That's the way it is. You don't have to throw a fit. The mod authors will hopefully update the mods. If they don't, they don't. And just pick up and move on. Okay? It'll be all right. Everything will be okay. In the meantime, thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time. I'm davidinark. Have a great day.